Welcome to the Prophecy Club. It was February of 1988 when I first heard the words, "The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. Some of the people will start fighting against the government." Let those words sink into your spirit. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. I'll say it one more time. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries you couldn't remember will attack. The Russians will bombard the nuclear missiles in America, and America will burn. I believe that the fall of America will start with an internal revolution started by the communists, started November the 3rd, 2020, with the election. Now, I believe that by the time you hear this, the second phrase, the second part of the prophecy, will be in full swing. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. Now, as we listen to that prophecy, we would say we could probably start looking for the Russians to attack any month now. But I don't believe that that's true. And I don't believe that's true for three reasons. One, as you recall, Michael Boldea was visited by Dumitru Duduman, and he was given a vision, and he was shown suitcase nukes going off all across America. That's going to be the second snake bite. The part of the prophecy says, "The eagle landed in the clearing, began to look around, not seeming to notice me. Suddenly, a brown snake lunged at the eagle and bit down on his left wing. Then another serpent, a second one, appeared, red and black diagonal stripes covering his body, without hesitation struck down at the eagle's right wing. The second bite was much worse than the first, and the second bite seemed to come from an unexpected place." And of course, the first bite was 9/11. And I think the second bite is either the earthquakes or the suitcase nukes. Then another serpent, a third one, much larger than the previous two, made of many colors or many nations, slithered toward the eagle, opened its jaws, lunged, taking the whole of the eagle's head in its mouth before biting down. That's the second snake bite. We have not seen the second snake bite yet. What is the second snake bite? I believe it could be both, or it could be one or the other of either the suitcase nukes, which Michael Boldea was also shown. As a matter of fact, I have now 9 different voices saying that somewhere between 20 and 50 suitcase nukes have been hidden in America since the late 1980s, and Coverstone didn't even know about them, but he prophesied, in my opinion, the interpretation of those things going off. The second thing is earthquakes. Also, Dumitru had an angel visit him. This is part of what he was told. "I will send storms," we've seen that, "heavy rains," fulfilled, "flooding," fulfilled, "hurricanes," fulfilled, and tornadoes. But this is the word we have not had fulfilled. This is actually good news, and that word is earthquakes. America has not been hit with a big, bad, devastating earthquake. Not yet. He said, "Because I want them to see my power and know that without me, they can do nothing. They trusted in themselves and in their own strengths. That is why I will punish this place." If it were not for those two, we could possibly be seeing the Russians attacking us. And then, of course, there's the prophecy given to Prophet Leslie, headlines, January 22 of 06. Those 7 headlines are, this is the order she received them. By the way, it's not necessarily the order that they will come to pass. Israel refuses help to America. Catastrophe hits America. Omar ushers in Palestinian state. One of America's greatest times of need. I hope you're writing these down. Israel is attacked. America sends troops, which, by the way, they are in the new book called, what was it? Go to prophecyclub.com. It's, I don't know, a blank on the top of my head right now. But anyway, let me go on and make my point here. One of America's greatest times of need. Israel is attacked. America sends troops. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then she heard my voice quoting Dumitru, "The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists." If not for those prophecies, I would be screaming bloody murder, saying the Russians are about to attack. Why? Because I think the second phrase, some of the people will start fighting against the government, is about to be fulfilled. Why do I say that? Comes to us from HalTurnerRadioShow.com. This guy, I don't know, he always seems to run across the right information when nobody else has this information that fulfills the prophecies. Anyway, January 3, headline, Covert Intel, Serious. January 6 rally in D.C. This item is part of my opinion at the bottom of an earlier article, but deserves its own article. I have just been briefed about the organized chaos and very dangerous additional things patriots are prepared to unleash on the Capitol this week. I said this week, January 6th. They know the gun laws are, I'm not going to say that word, are bad in D.C., so they've created 4 zones outside the district to keep the bulk of the firepower until needed. They know D.C. is locking down its commercial district, so they're bringing RVs, tents, and supplies to last a few days. They know the interstates were shut down for the last rally, so they plan to circle the wagons around D.C., blocking exits until the entrances are open. Now, pause. Just a second, before I read these next 3 paragraphs here. Does that sound like some of the people will start fighting against the government to you? Does that sound like that second phrase is just about to begin? Yeah, there's more. Let's go on. They have the exit routes of the tunnels out of the government buildings to ensure the Congress members, did you hear that? The Congress members, they're planning on stopping. What are you going to do with the Congress members? You're going to arrest them? You're going to detain them? What are you going to do with the Congress members? Do you think the people impeding doing anything bad to Congress members, do you think that that's some of the people fighting against the government? Would you say that's fulfilled? They have the exit zones of the tunnels around the government buildings to ensure the Congress members can't slip away. This is a gigantic security breach from within the government. It is setting off alarm bells in almost every department. Not only do the Patriots have the tunnel locations, they also have the exit locations too. This has never happened before. Some of the many tunnels under Washington, D.C. are already publicly known, like this one. He has a picture. Others are, or until today, were closely held secrets, but apparently those secrets are now out. So there are 70+ million Americans unwilling to take no for an answer with regard to stopping the election fraud and preventing an illegitimate presidency, and upwards of 1 million are said to be, are you hearing that? Upwards of 1 million are said to be heading to D.C. for January 6th. Why, when's January 6th? Well, by the time you hear that, it might be tomorrow or it might be today. Depends on when you hear this. Does that sound like some of the people will start fighting against the government? It certainly does to me. Next headline, HalTurnerRadioShow.com again. Headline, video, Antifa hoodlums being bussed in against MAGA rally with police escorts. That's right, they have the video. If there was ever a doubt about who has been arranging for Antifa to engage in the riots throughout the country this past year, the arson attacks this past year, the beatings, shootings, and killings in cities all over the nation, let those doubts be dispelled right now. It has been government. This is what he says, him saying it, not me. It has been government that has been using Antifa the whole time. They got caught providing, listen to this, police escorts. If you go to his site, he actually shows you video of the police escorting in these, I think it's 5 or 6 busloads, which is probably like 30 people per bus, the size of the bus they have. So the police are helping bringing in Antifa, the BLM, they're helping bring in people into D.C. Okay, so does that sound like when we were kids, you'd see someone draw a line in the sand and say, oh yeah, well, I dare you to step across that line. And of course, if they would step across the line, the fighting began. Does this sound like some of the people will start fighting against the government when you have the state police escorting in 5 or 6 bus loads of Antifa people specifically into D.C.? Now, let's go on with this article. Antifa to attack a MAGA rally in Minnesota last month. And we have the video proof that the government has done this. Below is video from a MAGA rally in Minnesota last month. In it, you will see a number of small white-colored commuter-style buses bringing in groups of Antifa militants to attack the MAGA rally later this week. And what else does the video show? Marked and unmarked Minnesota State Police vehicles escorting the Antifa buses. Now, here's the point. When you have the government bringing in the hoodlums, bringing in the people to cause problems, and then Trump has invited, in so many words, some million people. And as I've been saying for a long time, it's one thing when you get the left mad and you get the Antifa and the BLM people out there and they're protesting and they're burning and they're shooting and they're looting. That's one level of anger. But you ain't seen nothing yet till you get the patriots, till you get the ex-military people, till you get people that are, how do we say, not exactly Christian, but if you ask them, they will sure tell you they are Christian. But they're not exactly ready to act Christian. They are ready for blood. I know it, and you know it. And this time, there's some good people with good hearts, good intentions, that wants to take their country back. It's one thing when these are paid Antifa, BLM people out here looting, burning buildings and things like that and doing some bad things. It's quite another when you've got a bunch of Americans, American-loving, freedom-loving people that are fed up, and they're taking their shooting irons, and they're going in, and I'm saying this could be blood. I pray that there's no blood. I pray that it doesn't pop up like I'm afraid it's about to. But let's go on. Government escorting the people who rioted, looted, committed arson attacks. Government escorting the very people who have done beatings, stabbing, shootings, killings in the cities all over this country for the past 10 months or so. Our own public servants, the people we pray, are bringing in rioters to attack us. Those of you heading to Washington, D.C. this week should be aware that busloads of Antifa are also being sent to D.C. We are endeavoring to get the video and other info about these buses and where they come from. I'm looking into who, inside which government agency did this. When I find out, I'll report it. Now, here's the point. The fall of America will start. Didn't say it would end. Fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. I think that happened November 3rd, 2020. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. I think that's about to happen this week. I mean, we got the thing in Georgia about the 2 senators and the runoff election. Then we also got the whole thing with who's going to be president on the 6th. And we've got both sides lined up. I mean, there's about to be war. There's about to be blood shed in our nation. In other words, and here's the point of the broadcast, I think the storm has arrived. What storm I'm talking about? August 10th, 2020. I call it people like firecrackers. I'm not going to read all of it. Pastor Dana Coverstone said he saw a storm, and the angel that speaks to him said, Passover 2021. Big things are coming for the world. Then he repeated it. Big things are coming for the world. Then the white figure appeared again and said, do not stop bracing. Here it is. For the storm will not pass till I, meaning God, till I stop the storm. So brace yourselves and don't look back. So here we have Coverstone was told there's a storm coming. Then in another one of the dreams he has, he says the prayers were getting aggressive, the numbers were growing, when I saw storm clouds over the country. Do you know how many people have seen what they described to be a storm over America? July 10th, 2012, Pastor Shane Warren. Worthless dollars, I'm going to summarize. He says he saw a storm covering from the north, south, east, and west over America. Then He saw dollar bills blowing in the wind, worthless as leaves. Well, what in the world could cause our dollar to fall? Once again, HalTurnerRadioShow.com. This guy continues to have the most important information. Headline: European bonds plummeting after Brexit. Austria and France have collapsed 85%. He goes on to say government bond values in European countries are plummeting, meaning falling, on a scale never before seen as of Q1 of 2021, commences after the official Brexit. Some bonds have actually completely collapsed and gone negative. Now, I'm not a financial guy, but could it be something like that? As you recall, 3 weeks ago, I felt like the Lord spoke to my heart. No audible voice, no dream, no vision, no angel visit, nothing like that. But I felt in my spirit, the same place that I look into my heart and I say, what do you want to say on the radio today? Or for Sundays, what do you want to say in the sermon today? And whatever comes up from that place in my heart is what I talk about. That same place. And I felt like the Lord spoke to my heart and said that the stock market is about to collapse. Again, I don't know when. I do not know when. But the main point is, I believe he spoke to my heart and said, anything you don't want to lose, put it in silver. And I'm not suggesting you buy anything. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm simply telling you what I believe the Lord told me. You don't want to do anything? Don't do anything. I'm just telling you what he told me. And so I called up CornerstoneAssetMetals.com and I said, okay, it's not much. This is all I got. And he took a check on the phone. It cleared the next day. And a couple of days later, a small box of silver arrived, and that's my little nest egg. I mean, we don't even have a retirement here. I mean, here I am, 67, and I don't have a retirement. The Lord's my retirement. I plan to work until my heart doesn't beat anymore. Okay. So, could it be that this whole Brexit thing, this whole blood in the streets, this whole Georgia runoff, then the electoral college thing, both of the houses meeting to decide who is going to be president January 6th, could it be that all of this begins to collapse the dollar? Could be. Pastor Shane Warren said he saw a storm raining worthless dollars. The second thing he saw was an earthquake. Now, Coverstone talked about another earthquake coming also. So that's the good news. We haven't seen a big earthquake. And you say, you mean, how can an earthquake be good news? Well, because I believe that the prophecies are saying that before the Russians attack, America is going to have a big earthquake. That's one of the prophecies. And not from just one, but almost every one of them always include that. So there's going to be an earthquake. And it says, he heard a booming voice speak from behind him saying, they've divided my land, now I will divide their land. So, until we see Israel, specifically Jerusalem, divided, and until we see an earthquake divide America, and I want to believe that that is conditional, I want to believe that we can pray that away, but that is part of the prophecies, and it's not just the prophecies, one or two people. So what I'm trying to say is, till we see an earthquake, the Russians aren't going to happen. They are not going to attack. Next part of what Shane Warren saw is a Middle East dream having to do, well, I'm going to skip all the details, selling oil for dollars, and he said he saw that that's what's going to collapse the dollar. Well, we haven't seen that yet either. That's more good news. Then he saw an internal revolution. The devaluing of the dollar caused major rioting in the streets. Well, if it was only devaluing of the dollar that is causing the major rioting in the streets, that wouldn't be as drastic as what's about to happen this week in Washington, D.C. Then, in the middle of that, remember, I was told August the 8th, 2015, that as the judgment hits, so will my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen going back to Adam and Eve. Shane Warren was told at the same time, I saw the church rise with healing in the wings for this moment. God prospering greatly, many people acquiring things, and a great transfer of wealth coming to the hands of believers. Churches became cities of refuge. Notice, no one was told to go out into the hills and into the woods. Cities became cities of refuge. The body of Christ stood up like a mighty sleeping giant and began to minister. That's our purpose. Our purpose, our heart is not to run out into the woods or up into the mountains someplace to try to survive until Jesus returns. Our objective is to take the name of Jesus and spread it around as much as we can and minister to people, give them encouragement, teach them Bible prophecy, give them answers. And so we're going to be right there in the thick of things. We're not going to try to run off and hide someplace so we can try to survive until Jesus returns. Frankly, I don't want to return. I don't want to survive until Jesus returns on the Feast of Trumpets because I want to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And I believe the Bible is fairly clear that those people that go to the marriage supper of the Lamb, most of them are dead, and that is at the last Pentecost. I want to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. I want to see my Lord Jesus change from lamb to lion, to change from prince of the kings of the earth to become the King of kings and Lord of lords. I want to see that event. I want to be there. Then he said, I saw great inflation taking place and there's a great economic storm. Okay, let's jump to Michael Boldea, May 2012. He said, I was walking down the street and he begins to describe a normal neighborhood, birds chirping, children playing, grass, green grass, trees, houses, your typical nice neighborhood. Then the scene changed. He was walking down the same neighborhood, except for everything was blown away, like a 200-mile-an-hour wind had blown everything away, except the trunks of the very largest trees, some of the big concrete steps that led up to the houses, except for there was one neighborhood house that stood. And he said he walked up next to that house and he could hear people inside praying loud with much fervency. And that's the only house that stood. Well, that's what Jesus told us, that we should build our house upon a rock. Of course, Jesus is the rock. So that when the winds blow, when the rains come, our house will not fall. In other words, the only safety is in the Lord Jesus. And yes, it's good to have silver. I really believe we need to, which, by the way, if you want to get that, cornerstoneassetmetals.com, mention Prophecy Club when you call. It does help us. Leslie also had a dream. I'm going to try to get on here in the next day or so that is talking about there's about to be a food shortage. Let me jump to another one of Leslie's dreams first. April 18, 2002. Stan and myself were on a cruise ship headed out to sea. Sky beautiful and blue, water calm, people around us enjoying themselves partying. But ahead of the ship, Stan could see a terrible storm. There's that word again, storm brewing. The sky was getting darker, seas rougher. We saw a huge tornado, and the ship headed straight toward it. Stan kept trying to tell the captain, turn the ship, but the captain wouldn't listen. Finally, the huge waves reached the ship, and the ship was about to capsize. Finally, Stan yelled at the captain, wake up, we're heading for trouble. Finally, the captain listened and began to turn the ship. But by this time, the waves were coming upon the ship, and the hurricane was about to hit the ship. And the dream ended. Now, the point of the broadcast, America is about to go into a storm. So what attitude do we take? I do think we should prepare. But I don't think our objective should be to try to live as long as possible, or to live until Jesus returns, or to survive when no one else survives. I think our objective needs to be, yes, get prepared as much as we possibly can. But our objective should be to win as many people to Jesus as possible, to be there to give an answer, to walk in those sevenfold miracles, to be able to teach people about the Bible, about Jesus, about Bible prophecy, to give them answers. Because that's the real objective. This is not our home. We're just passing through. This is only for a little while. Life is but a vapor, but living eternally with Jesus is what it's all about. We want to be fire pluckers. We want to pluck people out of the fire. And there's about to be a fire. There's about to be a storm. So we want to be able to walk up and lead someone to Jesus. Have you ever done that? Let me ask you that. Have you ever actually held hands with someone and led them in a prayer as they accepted Jesus? There's nothing more thrilling in this world. There's nothing better than leading someone to Jesus ever, ever, ever. Nothing on this earth comes close to it. It is the pinnacle. It is the best thing you've ever done. If you haven't done that, I suggest that you memorize some scriptures so that you can lead someone to the Lord, so that in that time you're going to be able to answer their questions. Get prepared. The storm has hit. If your heart is with us, I'm asking you to become a member. Actually state before God that you are with our vision to win thousands upon thousands of souls, to teach prophecy and walk in sevenfold miracles, to be a blessing and give answers in the time of trouble. If this is your heart, go to prophecyclub.com and click on membership. Only takes 90 seconds. This will help us to get a loan for an office and a church to do the work of the ministry. prophecyclub.com. When a nuclear device goes off, it produces an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, and it fries every computer chip unless they're protected. The good news is EMPshield.com has devices a military testing facility says are 100% accurate to protect against EMP, solar flares, lightning, power surges backed by a 10-year warranty and a $25,000 insurance policy. And they come with simple installation instructions for home, vehicles, RV, and electric generators. You can have electricity in a blackout. EMPshield.com. Use the promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. This helps Prophecy Club. That's EMPshield.com. Promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. EMPshield.com. EMPshield.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins. They can help you roll over your IRA, 401k, so tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. Heaven's Harvest has more food in stock. That's right, freeze-dried, the coveted freeze-dried food in stock at heavensharvest.com. And if you put the promo code in STAN, it helps your Prophecy Club, and it also gets you a packet of heirloom seeds free. heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN, S-T-A-N, heavensharvest.com, STAN. When a nuclear device is detonated, the wind blows the dust settling on everything around you. Then you breathe, eat, or absorb radioactive iodine, which then kills your thyroid and kills you. A simple fix is to immediately take potassium iodate pills, which flood your thyroid with good iodine, keeping the radioactive iodine out. You need 1 bottle per person per exposure for everyone from infant to adult. 10 bottles available for a gift of $225 or $25 per bottle at prophecyclub.com. Shelf life from 5 to 8 years, potentially more if you refrigerate or freeze it. That's prophecyclub.com, potassium iodate pills. The easiest way to listen and watch Prophecy Club YouTube videos is to download our free app from the App Store. This is not to be confused with watchprophecyclub.com, where you can watch 26 years and over 300 DVDs for a subscription of $20 a month or $200 a year. The app allows you to watch our YouTube videos and listen to our radio programs very easily. Go check it out at your App Store. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I was shown a secret door linking the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the book of Revelation can be put in correct chronological order. You can understand Bible prophecy. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. What is the most important information to every beating heart on the globe? After accept Jesus, it would be don't take the mark of the beast. Those taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but are tormented in the lake of fire and brimstone for eternity. How do you tell them? Give them miss the mark. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. Over the past 32 years, I've collected the best 101 prophecies from Dumitru, Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruber, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Marie Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, and more. It's called God's Warnings for America. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 5. 1 for 20, but don't do that. 5 for 35 or 10 for 60. My new book is called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel because that's what it does. It shows you the part of Daniel you need to know Ben, you're about to be a tribulation saint and will desperately need to know and understand about the last days you live in. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10, 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. In How Pre-Trib 1, I expose the dirty little secrets pastors don't want you to know, which is why sometimes they can't preach the truth, especially about the rapture. Then, using the secret door, I explain the truth about the rapture and rebut 25 claims pre-tribbers use to prove pre-trib. You'll finally know the truth about the rapture. We offer it in shrink-wrap sets of 10, 1 for 20, but don't do that, 10 for 30, 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. That's prophecyclub.com.